Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this panel. Games are everywhere. We're going to talk today with a great panel. Madelon here and Dirk on my right, and we have Katie and Dietmar here on my left. Today we're going to talk about different aspects of the game industry, and I would like to start with Dietmar here, who's worked in the game industry for quite a while, but also has worked with games for the television industry. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the games that you've worked on and apps?
I'm Dietmar from Game Media. I started in 2007 in the game industry with my own company. Yeah. And even before that time, I started in 1998 at Lost Boys, which later turned into Guerrilla Games, which is well known. And since 2007, we started to create our own games, and they started out really small. And since 2013, 2014, we got a job in a television business for a game called 1 vs 100, which is a well-known IP. Okay. Yeah. And it turned out really well. So we got 1.5 million downloads and almost 2 billion gameplays in a very small time play. Yeah. So, and from there we moved on to a lot of other games and apps in the industry. So, like for example, Miljoenenjacht in the Netherlands, and Sep Live and Sep Sport and British Bake Off, for example.
So basically, you are a game developer, but you've worked for the television industry a lot. They have been your client for many times.
Yes.
We're looking here at Kunst en Kitsch app, which you've created as well. It's almost like a sort of second screen experience, or where does the game aspect come in?
Well, it can be different from app to app. In this game, you can. It's a sort of a play along. You can play the same questions they have in a television show in the app itself, for example. And most of the times our games are multiplayer, so you can play against somebody you know or somebody you don't know. So there's a huge social aspect to these games as well. Yeah.
And so you have a good idea about the difference between television and games. Where do you think are the main differences in the stuff we make and how it's made?
Oh, there are huge differences between these two sectors, I think. Television is mainly based on linear TV shows, which are just aired on a certain amount of time. And a game you play whenever you like and how long you like. And it's more dynamic and more... you can go in a game wherever you want to. And a television show is more passive. You have to watch it.
All right, we're going to look at a trailer of something you guys are creating now, which is very much not an app but a game. Yes. Let us take a look. High-octane action.
High-octane.
Robots hurting each other. Tell us, what is this game all about and what makes it unique?
This game is all about robots fighting each other. It's a sort of a brawler game in which you can choose between a lot of different robots and weird robots like chicken robots and scorpion robots or anything, pretty much anything. Yeah. And you play 3 versus 3 against other teams. It's a multiplayer game. Which you can play on a PC or on a Mac or maybe on some other platforms in the future as well. So yeah,
it's created together with a partner. You are partnering with Gala Games. Can you tell us a little bit about Gala Games and what they do?
Yeah, Gala Games are pretty much the leader in the blockchain industry right now, and we're working together with them because they're huge in this area, and they're have deep pockets to invest in this genre, and they see huge opportunities within the game industry for the NFT and for the blockchain business.
And how did you meet them? How did you work with them?
I think it was on Gamescom. I was there meeting them through a Zoom meeting, and we got speaking, and I was a bit uncertain at first because I didn't know much about blockchain or NFTs, and I was a bit skeptic maybe even. Yeah. But yeah, they turned out really nice guys, so I thought maybe in a second meeting, and then somebody joined our meeting. It was Eric Schiemeyer, and I thought, this is the founder of Zynga. Okay. I know this guy. He's well known. And there came more celebrities in this meeting, and we talked about everything. And, are both passionate, and we turned out both really passionate about the game industry. Yeah, we connected, and we couldn't stop talking about it. And it turned out we have the same vision about this new and upcoming markets.
So NFT, it's a non-fungible tokens, right? It's a thing, a buzz thing that we've been hearing for last year. I think it started with one painting being sold for a ridiculous amount of money, and all of a sudden NFT is a thing. Can you explain what is an NFT and in general, and how does this relate to games?
Well, in very short, it's a sort of a unique ID and a sort of code which you can stick to pretty much everything. So you can stick it to real life related stuff, but you can also stick it to virtual stuff, and that's what we do. We can add them to virtual tanks or to virtual weapons, which you can buy or earn during the game. And what makes it unique is that this tank will stay for yours forever. Yeah. We can take it away from you anymore, and you can do whatever you like with it. So if you can play with it, and in a while you can even sell it or upgrade it or give it away.
We're used to having digital stuff being interchangeable and we can endlessly copy it, but this is actually proves that a certain item, whether it's a picture or a game item, is unique and it belongs to you. Because you told me about what the prices are going to be of some of the tanks. So you can buy a tank for 50 euros, and there was one that was how much, the most expensive tank?
Right now, I think the most expensive right now is 50,000.
50,000 euros?
Yeah.
You can buy a digital game item for 50,000 euros? Yeah. And why would you do that?
Because it's fun. Okay. Basically because it's still fun. All right. And we see a lot of people having fun in our games, and they really are excited about our games, and they also see the opportunity like we do, and they see this probably gets worth more if I invest my time in this item. So the longer I play, the more valuable it will become. So that's interesting for pretty much everybody.
And who will be the one who spends 50,000 euros on a tank? Do you have any idea who that might be the first one?
No, we already sold a couple of them actually, and we even have more expensive items in the game as well.
Really?
Yeah, we do. We sell those.
Wow, so it's really taken off.
Yeah.
Wow, very interesting. Well, thanks, Dietmar. It's great. We're going to get back to NFTs later on in this panel. We're going to switch to Katie here. Katie, you are representing Lung Games, and Lung Games is a company that makes serious games or applied games, and you guys have come up with a really beautiful product to. It's a very visually beautiful game, but it's actually also to train children. Let's take a look at the movie here.
Veel jonge kinderen hebben last van overmatig hoesten, zijn vaak verkouden of hebben andere ademhalingsproblemen. Je kunt hierdoor als ouder in onzekerheid zitten. Een huisarts kan nog geen officiële diagnose stellen of doorsturen voor verder onderzoek, omdat het kind nog te jong is voor een longfunctietest. Daar hebben we nu een oplossing voor. Deze game leert kinderen van 3 tot 6 jaar een betere controle te krijgen over hun ademhaling, zodat ze wel een longfunctietest kunnen uitvoeren.
Kijk, dat heb je goed gedaan.
Help je kind en ga aan de slag met deze game onder begeleiding van een kinderfysiotherapeut.
All right. So this game actually, children control the game by blowing into a certain device. Is that a device you developed yourself, or is it something that's out there?
No, it's a medical device.
Yeah.
It's a FDA and CA approved. It's all around the world a medical approved device. And that's also the unique part of the game. It's a full medical tool.
Yeah.
Where the compliance now for Sparky is not existing because children with the age of 3 are not able to blow a lung function. We, with this game, make it possible to train children without a lot of visits to the hospital to learn to blow the lung function and therefore get the medication they need instead of being over-medicated or being hospitalized more.
Okay, so it improves their strength of their breathing. Can you explain what is a lung function?
So lung function is the amount of air you have in your lungs and you're capable of breathing out and in by a forced breath.
Okay, so it's a very intentional breath. And so when children play this for a long time, it actually improves their lung function.
Yeah, so this version of Sparky, if you play it for 6 weeks, you can measure lung function. That's not possible right now. People are not able to breathe, the forced breath, by the age until like 8 years old.
That's normal.
That's normal. And if you have asthma, for example, you want to know how much medicine you want to have to inhale to have a clear breath. And we are making it possible to have those measurements before. So, and how earlier we have them, how less medication they have to take it.
I see.
And those medications, they have long-term effects. So.
So this is much more of a targeted approach.
Yeah.
You have much more, you know more exactly what you need.
Yeah.
And therefore you don't need too much. So this is exciting. How did you get into this project? How did this emerge from your team?
So we have a child that has difficulties to breathe because of disability. She doesn't have asthma, but because of that we came into cross with a lot of lung physiotherapists. And we created also a game for children with cystic fibrosis, tijslijmziekte. And for that we came in contact with Erasmus. And then Erasmus says, yeah, tijslijmziekte, cystic fibrosis, it's a need, but we have a bigger need. We need younger children to learn this, to blow faster. And exploration showed us that that was the truth. So we developed it, and we are now taking trials in Belgium, Israel, and the USA.
So you're partnering with institutions in Israel, USA, and in Rotterdam, Erasmus, to do research on this and to see the effect and measure the effect. And what is your goal eventually? Where do you want to sell this, and how is this going to get to the consumer?
So it's a medical game. So until the full trajectory of validation is done, it will stay in medical doors. But after that's done, it's set up that children can play with it without any explanation further necessary.
I see.
So it's already built that way, but validation trials don't allow us to put it just on the App Store or.
So medical validation is a process originally developed for approving pills and medication, and now it's used for approving games. Why is that a good thing?
You have to protect the game industry as such, because if we can prove that we can validate as good as a medicine, then there is so much high value in increasing compliance, in getting less medication in the bodies of people. And I don't say medication is bad at all. I think if medication is needed, it should be done. But to decrease the amount, to be less dependent of medication for a child, gives so much more happiness. And I think there's a world open.
Yeah, wonderful. So this is a very different application of games and games technology than we're seeing from spider worlds. Well, we're going to thank you. validation is a tricky aspect. It's a long process, right? I mean, how long have you guys been working on this, and how much longer do you need to go to get that point of validation?
Yeah, so we started 7 years ago. It's a validation trajectory started 5 years ago, and I expect for that we have a full in-house App Store-based product. I think we still need 4 years.
Wow.
But I think for the upcoming new games, that road will be paved a little bit, and it will be easier to come in.
But that's quite an investment in time and effort, but wonderful product. Thank you, Katie. We're going to talk a little bit more and compare it to the other products and games we're going to talk about. Dirk, we have somebody here representing the esports community. You're from H20. You're the Amsterdam Esports Campus. Let's take a little look at a movie, and then we're going to talk about what you're doing.
Welcome to our world. Here, you determine your growth because we cover your ambitions. We are Europe's biggest esports campus with more than 10,000 square meters to push your limits, to connect, to learn, to meet, and to create. We just do it together with you. Give and take, perform together. Tech meet people. People meet tech. 1 gigabyte fiberglass connections to reach your ultimate goals. We are here for you and for all new generations and talents, because your ambitions are here to make it happen. H20 Esports Campus Amsterdam. Game on.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, you launched this place, this amazing location.
I still like it.
You still like it, huh? You can still get excited. You launched this place just before lockdown, which was, of course, a weird time to start a place like that. But now you're getting back into business. People are coming to visit. How is it going now in Poland?
Yeah, we are very happy that things get sort of normal again.
Yeah.
This week alone, I think we have 1,500 people in. Yesterday, 650 kids. And I think almost every week there are now small and bigger events. So that's nice, and that was also our goal. Yeah, we started in March last year, and then the first lockdown came in. So yeah, I couldn't take care of that.
So it was a difficult time to launch. Yeah.
Yeah, we had 4 lockdowns, and the last one was really heavy because then from December till beginning of June, and now for the first time we can really do events and do trainings and boot camps and that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's very nice to see that people also need that sort of. They really have a need for physical events again. And yeah, we are social human beings, so they like to meet each other again. And there are amazing stories already which happened in the campus.
Yeah, wonderful. And when people say esports and people think about children behind screens and stuff, they're like, "What do you mean sports?" What can you tell us a little about?
Yeah, so the story how I came into esports and gaming is a little bit weird because my game, I always say my game is handball. So I did a physical sport, I always compare it to sports now because there is my knowledge, my experience, but I see a lot of similarities between sports and then esports in this case. And if you look then at gaming for me is then more the recreational part of sport, if you compare it to sport. And if you look then at esports, that's more the competitive part, so more the professional sports. Mm-hmm. And therefore we also said we are not a gaming campus, although we are there for gamers. Yeah. But we like to educate and to develop gamers to become the best gamer they can be. So their career path to pro gamer, but I think 99.5% will not make it to pro gamer. So sure. And therefore we said, okay, that's the tech part of our concept. So on the one side, from gaming to esports, and people will not make it. They need a career, and that career will be in creative tech or in gaming or in esports. And esports will be a big market also for jobs in the future, I believe.
So you've done professional sports. You're still involved in professional handball. How does an athlete of handball prepare in a similar way as an athlete of esports?
Yeah, so after my own career, I got injured with my shoulder, so I couldn't proceed. So I needed to quit at my 27th. I played in the national team at that moment. And from there I was still involved. So over the last 4 years, I was until the end of 2019 coordinator of the expert team of the handball ladies, who became world champion in Japan end of 2019. And when you see the difference between place 4 on the world championships and then a medal or the gold medal, it's all about real small details. And that's what I also see now in esports. And maybe even it's a bigger challenge to become the global best team in a type of game. Yeah. It's really details that makes the difference.
Can you give us an example of one of those details?
Yeah, we had an expert team with a data scientist, with a physiotherapist, with a doctor, with a mental trainer, and even 2 or 3, nutrition of course. And that's also what you see now, which is happening in gaming. So when Team Liquid visited us, I think 2 or 3 months ago, I even noticed that even though, in my opinion, they are one of the best esports organizations in the world, they still are, I think, missing some details in performance, in high performance, where they can become better. And I think, we are now, the vision is that we try to get that up and running. So even if they come in for a casual game, if they want to become better, then already the journey starts to become a real professional athlete in the end.
Yeah, and they have to cover every detail of their performance in order to win that gold medal.
Yeah, and if you see it on the top level, it's 4 to 6 repetitions per second. It's really, I think, a much higher pressure than in normal sports, because a lot more people are watching. Even with one tournament, you can become a millionaire. So win a lot more than in sports. In fact, maybe only football and a few sports where you can earn as much as in esports. That's really amazing how big it already is.
That's amazing. So you coming in from top sport, professional handball into the esports arena, had you thought that this would happen to you in your life 10 years ago?
Absolutely not. I founded 2 tech companies, and from there I think we have 60 employees over there. And what I found out, especially in the development company, it's a software company, they all do some sort of gaming, but a few of them played on a high level, even in South Korea. And then I visited a lot in the world during my trips abroad, and then I was in Arlington, for example, and there you have the biggest sports stadium in the world, Dallas Cowboys. And next to the stadium there's a conference center, and they renovated it to an esports stadium. And at that moment, also when I was at Gamescom, but also at ESL, that was my first experience as a fan.
Esports League, huh? Yeah.
ESL 1 is also Counter-Strike, the biggest Counter-Strike championship. Yeah, I was 5 minutes in the stadium, and also played in that stadium in Cologne. And within 5 minutes I was a fan, and I thought, hey, the blue team, that's my team. And then I suddenly thought, hey, this is just like sports, and this will only it will grow double digit every year over the coming years, and it will overtop sports.
Interesting is that in your branch, you take 1 or 2 games that from the development community, and you completely build a competition around it. So it's a very focused on certain games that are multiplayer, right? So
absolutely,
it's an interesting angle. We're going to talk with our last guest here on the table, Madelon from Azerion. So let's first take a look at what is Azerion.
Storytelling is what makes us human. And Azerion is telling incredible stories and opening the door to amazing worlds. So, are you ready to experience the magic with us?
Well, so there's a lot to digest. Madelon, wonderful to have you here. Now, I noticed in your profile that you've worked in the movie industry, television, you've worked in the music industry, and now you're in the games. How did that happen?
Yes, yes, I moved through the media and entertainment industry very gradually. But I started in gaming a year ago, and at Azerion, and as you've seen, Azerion does so much. And but yeah, I enjoy it, and I think that there are quite some. And maybe you were going to get to that, but there are quite some similarities as well, maybe more similarities than
let's talk about that. I mean, that was my question I was going to have. Like, where do you see similarities or differences, and how does that affect the product or the company?
Yeah, I think, so if I take television, for example, and we discussed this earlier a little bit, where, there are differences, obviously, but I think the similarities are, for example, structured planned production, data-driven iterations, working with talent, the technology dependency that you have, and then also there's something for every age range. So I guess the main differences are, for example, with formats. I think you touched on that as well, where you have sometimes the format specifically for a local audience, geared to a local audience. And a culture, and if and when that is sold abroad, then minor tweaks have to be made. Whereas, with gaming, particularly MMO, you don't need a VPN to play your favorite game. No, that's right. And then with music, another thing also on the rights side of things, music clearance is also there's not really a global solution for that just yet, because, if you look at some of the games that I work on, the virtual worlds, and we have virtual concerts, you're basically hosting a world tour on one date.
Okay.
So that's something that the industry is looking into, because it's growing.
So Azerion brands itself not as a games company, but as a media company, right? So you're actually covering several layers of the media industry.
Yes, exactly.
You make your own productions, you make videos, you make games, you make websites and portals, and basically the total package.
Exactly. So I think we call ourselves a media, entertainment, and advertising technology company, sort of a monetization platform, if you will, where advertisers as well as game developers and publishers have an opportunity or have a platform to monetize their content.
Okay. And you guys have launched something exciting last week. Can you tell us a little bit?
Yeah. So Dirk was already talking about NFTs, and we launched our first NFT collection last week. Habbo Avatar NFTs is what it's called, and it sold out in 26 hours. It was crazy.
Oh wow!
It was so. And I think the good thing is that Habbo is, the first metaverse that ever existed. Metaverses are also talked about in the gaming industry a lot recently, and there are very varying definitions, but really, if we talk about virtual worlds, Habbo was launched 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
And so it's very much, the nostalgia that appeals to people, particularly in the NFT space and in the gaming space. So
and so you guys are launching with a well-known intellectual property of about, is it 20 years old?
20 years.
My goodness. It was one of, a lot of people still know it from those days. Yeah. And now you're adding this extremely modern element to it, the NFT. So what part of the element here is an NFT?
So basically, it's the bottom right corner that you see here. You see a little avatar there. Yeah. So basically, this is an example of what an avatar in Habbo looks like. Nice pixelated art, but with within this collection with unique traits. So, they cannot be recreated in Habbo, because as you know, as a user within these free-to-play games, you go in there, you create your avatar, you choose, what your hair looks like, your clothing, and things like that. But these were auto-generated, so we had over 11,500 that we launched that were unique. They were all unique. Yeah. But basically, the difference here is, for example, if you look at the top left corner, when it's fungible, so interchangeable, and it's physical, as in money. Yeah. For example, if I give you 50 euros and you give me back 2 bills of 20 and 1 of 10, I'm still happy, because that's 50 euros.
Sure. Yeah.
But then when you look at, for example, the physical world, and you look at cars or houses, even though they might look like cars from the same line, or you have a whole row of houses that from a distance look exactly the same, there's still a difference in the state of repair, for example, that it's in, or whatever the viewpoint from the house. So that makes it
the
different.
value will never be exactly the same as the thing you're trading for. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
So yeah.
And how much does a character like this cost in your game?
I can't really tell you. It's constantly, evolving, of course, because this runs on Ethereum.
Yeah. So this is actually market dependent.
Exactly. So we started at I think 0.5 Ethereum, and then we dropped 0.01 Ethereum every hour.
Yeah.
But I think the floor price was like 0.22, which is pretty good.
So if I buy one of those characters, can I make it better and sell it later, or is there something?
Yes.
Yeah?
But yeah, I mean, it's trading. You have to be very smart with that.
But it's possible.
Figure out, but it's possible.
It's digital ownership that you can trade.
As Dirk was saying, exactly.
Yeah.
It's unique to you. You have it. It's yours. These are a couple of examples.
Yeah.
And there are rarities in there as well. So we had a reveal on the 5th of October actually.
Yeah.
So people had to wait, fingers crossed. And what is my avatar going to look like, to figure out how rare it is. So the prices will vary per avatar.
So in the casual game space, are you one of the first ones to do this, to launch an NFT connected to a game like this?
Yeah, we're the first game to do it, yeah.
Really?
I mean, I would say social games, because yes, Azerion, of course, to your point, with Azerion, we have casual gaming, which is more, I always explain that as sort of the Candy Crushes of this world, that you play on your mobile. Then we have social games, which are the metaverses, these virtual worlds like Habbo, Hotel Hideaway, and Woos World. And then we also cater to the hardcore gamers with Voidu, which you saw in the video, is an e-commerce website.
Wow. So, and this is originally, is it a Finnish product, Habbo?
Yes,
yeah?
Sulake is the creator of Habbo and of Hotel Hideaway. Woos World hails from Canada, but yes, and Sulake was acquired by Azerion in January this year.
That's right.
So, but the team still sits in Finland, so I have a lot of video calls with the team there.
Yeah. Wonderful. Wow, it's amazing. And so, so the launch went well. You guys launched an NFT game. It's a new era, right? I mean, we're entering a new phase of the game industry when this is integrated into the game stuff. What about serious games? Do you think we'll do serious games with NFTs? Is that going to be something that we'll be able to see in the future?
Well, I think that the most value in NFT is that whole game scene will change into an investment scene. And that has a huge potential.
You think it will improve the investability of games in games companies?
If I got it right, your tanks, you can upgrade them by playing, even if you bought them at a high price. So you can even make them more valuable.
How do you see that, Vidmar? Is it going to be a new way of investing and trading that we haven't seen before?
Absolutely, yeah. What we see is that there's a whole wave of new business models rolling to this space.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're not only looking into the NFT space, but we're also looking into the play-to-earn space, in which you don't really have to earn or pay for anything. You just play and start earning together with somebody else. So you can more lend or loan an item from somebody else. For example, I have a very good tank myself, which is very powerful, but also very expensive. And somebody else in a lower country with less money cannot afford such items. But I can still lend my item to him. And if he's a very good player, we can both make money.
So you can team up with somebody who's actually a better player than you, but has less money to spend.
Yeah.
And then together you can advance and maybe upgrade the tank and then sell it later?
It stays my tank, to be clear. But
I am still the owner. Yes.
You still stay the owner, but you both get the rewards for winning that match. And eventually he can use his money or use his valuable items he gets from the game by himself.
This is interesting. So now we're touching.
Very interesting.
We're getting back to esports here, because now if esporters will join this community and start helping you out, you and an esporter can really do well.
And sponsoring, because at a certain point somebody will own the high end. Yeah, you can same as the bikes of the Tour de France. Yeah. If you have a faster bike, you have a higher chance.
Yeah, put a logo on it.
Yeah, so it might be that your machines in the end, if you pick his game to have European championships, that they will have teams with the high value tanks.
And some players are so good, they can buy some groceries, but if you're really good, you can really stop your job. And that's what's happening in the Philippines right now. People are quitting their jobs to play games.
Because they make money,
they make more money than doing their job. So that's very interesting.
And you're mentioning the Philippines as a place where that happens. When is this going to happen in the Netherlands, where people quit their jobs and start playing like that? I mean, apart from the esports that we already know, because that's really what they do. But
I'm not sure if that will ever happen, but I think that's the whole interesting thing of this new play-to-earn model. It's going to be an economy on itself, which makes it very interesting for everybody around the world, so we can help each other out a bit.
Do you feel investors are jumping on this right now?
Yeah.
Have you noticed this as well?
Yeah.
So it makes it easier for you to pitch for investments than before?
Much easier.
Much easier, yeah.
There's a huge potential in this market, and we get calls every day.
Interesting. What is the overlap between what you're doing and because your games are different, your audience is different, right? But
I guess so.
I think that's
sounds
more like a hardcore audience in terms of games, and this is more for a broader audience. But
yeah, I mean, I guess the similarity here is that we also work with affiliates that produce these type of MMO games. We also host that on our platform called Game Distribution, which is really nice. So that offers a sort of a platform for publishers and developers to come together, basically. So if you're a really good developer of a game like that, then you can offer it on Game Distribution, and then publishers can place it on their websites. So, but I guess to your point, actually also to your point, when it comes to and to your point, when it comes to branding, that is something that will be really interesting and something that I'm looking into in the virtual worlds. Where I would love to have brands in there.
Like
we've had those for
a sports brand we all know is part of the character's outfit and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you can also upgrade. You can upgrade your outfit as well. But also for brands to sponsor a concert.
Yeah, but
things like that. So
this is what you see in esports every day. If you look at on a global scale, every day there's a new deal with a big, what was earlier sports sponsoring deal, now an esports sponsoring deal, because this is where they reach them. And then top sport or professional sport inspires, and they want the Ronaldo of the future, and to get connected with that player.
I know Fortnite is one of the ones that are doing it already well. I mean, they already just announced something with a clothing brand as part of a sponsoring thing, so people can buy clothing of their favorite brand on their character, the avatar.
Yeah,
right?
we used to do that as well. We had a Baller, which is more of a Dutch-focused brand, but we had an actual virtual collection, like 50-plus piece collection, virtually in the game, and the users absolutely loved it. It was for Hotel Hideaway, to be specific, and it was available for a certain amount of time, but users just absolutely loved it, because we do is normally we create our own fashion that is relevant for that month's event, for example. We have different themes that we run in these games, but those aren't necessarily branded. I mean, they're very popular, and you can also indeed upgrade your experience by purchasing virtual goods, either something to place in your room or to put on your avatar. But if it's branded, that's super exciting.
Because you mentioned this advertising thing as well for LAN games. What kind of partner would fit with you? What kind of partner would?
NFT for health games. The technology behind it is not secure enough to prove the data.
Sure.
So NFT for health games. Some serious games might, but it depends on the sector you're in.
In terms and just in general, like clothing or an identity brand, what brand would work well with your game?
Well, we would. Then you go to medicine.
Brand.
Then you go to medicine, like a Pfizer or that kind of.
Yeah.
But it's children, so it's all not that easy. It's not everything is allowed. Yeah,
with children it's very restrictive. Huh? Everything that's released for children has to be.
Yeah, so you should. We have also our business model is on improving health, and that's by value by itself.
Yeah.
and also perceived as valuable. So we don't have a problem with the business, but a partner would be a medical player.
Medical party, yeah. And that makes sense too. And I think there's an important element of insurance companies also needing to approve. That's another reason why validation is important, because then people can actually get their health insurance will pay for a game like this for their children. In terms of sports and health, I mean, there's a relationship. You know, you're from the top sport. What other brands are connected to your program, your organization?
Yeah, we did a sort of sponsoring model around our stadium and around our campus with branded areas, for example, but also the esports stadium is now co-branded by Rabobank. Yeah. But we also have an interesting deal with Samsung this year where we can educate 400 people becoming from gamer more pro gamer, and they actually connect their name to that program. It's called Samsung Sessions. And at the moment, we are expanding from one location to more locations. So we will probably open up next year up until 10 esport gaming centers, so to say, together with Pathé, the cinema. And we are in for esports, and they are more for more the casual gaming or recreational. Yeah. And there you see now, because they have a big audience, they have a big numbers of visitors still, and the reach combined with then esports and youngsters, Generation Z or iGenerate, whatever we call it, H20. Yeah. Now you see they hop in earlier.
It becomes easier.
We now talk with a few big corporates that really want to jump into gaming, and then especially into the physical experience of gaming and getting them there connected.
So a next big step would be health brands investing in esports. Are there any health brands interested right now?
No, not yet. You see now more esports. I think gaming there has the association with Red Bull and with that kind of kids. But you already see that the top gamers that come in now for our talent development program. We do that 2 times a year, 10 to 20 talents. They are already athletes. Yeah. It's not the old English
healthy,
anymore.
they live healthy.
But you see that the brands, especially in the Netherlands, they need to still see that. You see the international deals are there, but now for Europe and also for the Benelux scene, it needs to hop in more. But there are already a few good examples. So the Blood Bank did a nice campaign, so they could donate, also connected with gaming, and it was a big success. So.
I visited the campus of Team Liquid in Utrecht, and they actually have a cook who actually makes a really healthy meal for the athletes every day, the esports athletes. So I think people still have to get used to the idea that esports is healthy, but what you're saying is to compete at the highest level, you have to be extremely healthy. That's really what it's about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting to see these different aspects of the game industry in terms of. With music, you mentioned music and television. Where do you think games and television will connect mostly in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, wow. Good question. I think second screen, things like that, more interactivity, even further than, but I guess Dietmar can answer that a little bit better, but you have more interactivity with the viewers and have a gaming element there. But also maybe outside of the actual broadcast of the show, that you have something that you can also play aside from that. Yeah,
and that's also based on maybe IPs coming back, intellectual property coming back in different shapes and forms. Yeah. Are you working and talking to any television organizations about the stuff you're doing now, Dietmar?
No. We're keeping them a bit away because we've done a lot in the recent years in television, and now we really want to focus on real games.
Yeah, and on this new area of opportunity
new opportunities for us.
Yeah.
I think there is one show, actually, I was thinking that Top Network is working on. It's called Avastars.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard about
Avastars?
that.
No.
Basically, this talent show, and I think there's, you also have Alter Ego in the US, I think.
Exactly,
where you have an actual avatar on stage.
Yeah.
And so, but then with Avastars, you have two different people, a dancer, a really good dancer, and then a really good singer, and they form this one talent that's on stage. So that's sort of another, that's a gaming element maybe in television that we'll see somewhere this year.
We tried it ourselves. We created our own motion capture studio for the same sort of opportunity. And we went to some of the broadcasters in the Netherlands, but it's pretty hard to land such a pitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's not enough budget for such a big
there's a lot of technology involved, right? Yeah.
A lot of technology involved, and we've done it before with a live VR show with multiplayer components together on a.
Yeah.
It was really hard.
The convergence of this industry with the other media channels is amazing right now, and I think I can see that happening in different levels. It's exciting to have you here today. Thank you very much for joining us for this panel today. Later this afternoon, we're going to have Dirk Tuip from he's of our Dutch Game Association. Will give a nice overview of the game industry and in the Netherlands and what our strengths and weaknesses are. So stay tuned for that, and thank you for joining us today.